Yeah, this role was very like, wow, that was me. Hey, my name is Dare Taylor, and I'm playing Rain. Rain is a very happy-go-lucky young woman who would do anything for everybody else. She's a scholar and really puts herself in her studies and her work. But I will say she happens to stumble upon a lot of trouble in her life just by being so welcoming and so open to others that she doesn't really think about how it impacts herself. So she's a very gentle, kind person. It weirdly felt so easy to me, and I think it's because Rain and I have so much in common, which there was no way to perceive this or like know that this was gonna happen. But as I was reading the script, it was so strange how in sync we both were. I definitely relate to Rain a lot. Not so much at this phase in my life, but definitely when I first got started in the modeling industry. Rain is I'd say she's a cam girl is what I would call her, but she's so much more than that. She's not just your typical girl who hops on and then that's her one thing that she does. She's actually studying to become a nurse, and her and I have so many facets that we have in common where we're always looking out for other people. We're just very hard workers, very devoted. And there was a time in my life where I was open to letting people into my life without really thinking about setting boundaries or how this would affect me and myself, my studies, or what I was going to do going forward. So it was almost easy to play her because I've been in that phase and I've been that person before. So it just came naturally to play Rain. I feel like now I'm open to obviously meeting people and new opportunities, but I listen a lot more to my gut than I used to. I used to just kind of let people fly in and out of my life, and now I really think about who I bring into my company and what I decide to do with my spare time, because we only have so much of it. So, and you are the company essentially that you keep in some sort of way. And even being in this film really showed me how much I've grown as a person, because I would see and play her in these roles and scenarios being like, yeah, I recognize this. I recognize that I used to do this. So it was very reflective to play this role and very rewarding to know that I've moved past just being so open and letting people into my life without setting any safe boundaries. For me as an actor, I would easily say, I don't want to like spoil the movie, but when Rain finally stands up for herself, we had to do this scene a couple of times, and it was nice because I got to play with it a lot. It was a lot of like, we got what we need, just go for it. So it was interesting to see and feel myself really slipping into this moment of her standing up for herself, her telling Blake no for the first time in the film. And it was enjoyable as myself because you want to root for Rain. You watch her through this whole thing just going, why doesn't she do this? And why didn't she speak up for herself? And she finally gets that moment of telling someone no when they're being abusive. So it was a very powerful scene and like kind of cathartic in a way to see, Rain step up for herself. I felt like I really had a hard time with the bathtub scene. And it had nothing to do with like the scene or the character. I feel like it's just dealing with the elements. When you're at home learning your lines and putting yourself in that moment, it's easy. But then when you're in the scene and you've got another person you're playing off of, and you're in a cold bathtub where the bubbles are supposed to be, where they're not, like it can be frustrating, and you have to set yourself in that current moment aside and really get back to like, what is the character trying to say? How would she feel in this moment? Like what are the elements really telling her? So that one was a little bit of a struggle, but we definitely got there. We had to revisit it a couple of times, but I feel like we got through it. I don't like to overanalyze or overthink because then I tend to get like more nervous. I feel like the best way to prepare for something like this for myself was just to go for it and just imagine like you don't really prepare yourself in the bedroom for somebody, you just are feeling things and just going with the flow of the emotions. And to me, I just let it happen and see what direction it was gonna go. A lot of it was choreographed, but some of it was just free flowing. So it was nice to not feel boxed in to, oh, we have to roll this direction or it has to end up like this. I think during like the shower scene, there was a lot of us just you were like, all right, go for it. Like, we don't need to choreograph this. So, and yeah, because sometimes I think just letting people play and letting them enjoy the moment or feel what they need to feel is what's going to make the best product, especially in acting. She was a really good kisser. I would say a 10 out of 10. Honestly, and I've kissed some pretty bad kissers before, so. I think she'd rate me relatively high. I'd say maybe like a 6 or 7. I'm a little modest about my kissing. There was a lot happening. So there probably could have been some drool or spit, you know. There was a lot of sweat. I know I'm a very sweaty person, so I'm sure she'll tell you I sweat on her in a couple of scenes. I've honestly thought about if I'm bisexual at all, because I do tend to like the attention of women. Honestly, I feel like I enjoy the attention of women a little bit more than men in some spaces, but I definitely wouldn't label myself as bisexual, and I have no problem with anyone who is bisexual, straight. Honestly, I think it's great that we're telling more stories that are open to, I don't want to say it's not really like a minority, but just open-minded to the fact that you can fall in love with anyone. And I don't even think that this movie really labels my character as bisexual. I think it's just her falling in love with another person, another human. So to me, it didn't really scare me. It was just more, it was more of a challenge to be even more open-minded about this and allow myself to fall in love with another actor on set in a safe space. I think it's gonna change the conversation about who I am as an actor. I think a lot of people are gonna be more invested and interested in how I got this role and how I wound up in this position, because a few of them have seen me on some projects, but nothing as big as this one. So I'm definitely ready for it, and I'm open to any and all conversation about it. So I know no shame with this project. I'm actually really proud of it. It was equally one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, but I can feel it's gonna be the most rewarding. I feel like it's gonna shock people. I feel like they're gonna feel more for me than they ever have. Like I do have a lot of things that happen in my life that I will talk about to my fans, but I also keep a lot to myself. I don't think very many people know that I'm a very emotional person and I wear my heart on my sleeve. So for them to see everything and to watch me cry and laugh and fall in love, I think will be shocking to them. And some people will be really delighted by it, and I think others maybe not so much, but I think they'll take it with them and remember or be reminded that I'm a person. That even though you see the happy, spunky, Pokemon-loving girl, that she does cry and she does get her heart broken and fall in love and make silly mistakes. So I'm open to any and all the response that they have. I would say that if you are gonna watch the film, which I obviously highly recommend, but go into it with an open mind. Don't really have any expectations on what you've heard or what you've seen. Just really watch it for what it is. I know some people are gonna be a little shocked by the sex scenes or by the intimacy, but I think if you look at it from such an open mind and really look for the lessons in the film and who you recognize as people in your life, you might have a better understanding of who they are. And maybe you might need to set some boundaries with some of those friends, but just really be open. Don't go into it with a closed mind. I'm Dare Taylor, and don't forget to check out all our IMDb's as well. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. Like and subscribe. Just kidding. Do all the things.
Cute.
Yeah.
That was perfect.